This is my pop-up camper. And by pop-up, what that means is everything from here down collapses so that you have a very small box that you're dragging around. And all of this intermediate stuff is canvas, and the back end pushes inside and the front end pushes inside. This is a similar camper in its on-the-road configuration. And this is the inside of that pop-up camper. Lots of windows around. Yes, it does have air conditioner. It's got two very nice large beds. But if you look around real closely and you remember that the top collapses basically right onto the beds, there are no shelving units. So what I really would like to do is devise a system where I can put shelving up along just above the window here, and it would be removable shelving so that we have plenty of space to put our overnight bed. This is the rough sketch of the plan. Now, if you can think back to the side wall of the camper, I wanted to put the shelf just above the window, and I need a couple of extension arms to hold that in place. So this is what I've decided. I have two different sizes. I have 66 inches of space that I need to cover there, but it's a little different over here because there's a rail in the way, and I'm just going to build that in. The foot of the extension arm will straddle that rail right there and stay in place. And then we're going to need brackets on the roof of the camper and on the seat underneath to hold those in place. And the way I'm going to do that is using birch plywood. And it's a little difficult to see here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 1/4 by 20 carriage bolts, and I'm going to cut a slot here, and that's going to register the square part of the carriage bolt up at the top, so that'll hold that in place. And then the other piece will just have two holes, and then it'll screw down with these knobs. Now, I encourage you, if that plunge cutting on the table saw makes you nervous because your fingers are too close to the blade, by all means find another way to do it. And certainly another way to do it is on your router table with a 1/4 inch bit. And I'm finishing these cuts with my Japanese saw. I'm going to make a thumb screw that's going to go through there. It's just threaded into the plywood, and that will go in and hold it very firmly against the metal rail. I'm going to epoxy this bolt into that round. So I'm going to flatten one side of the top of it just so that the epoxy really can grip a hold of it. I need to make some U-shaped retainers. Here we are on location, trying to put up the supports, and of course the camper is not leveled out, so I have to do this with a square. And I must say, the older I get, the less I like working over my head. Okay, I think I see the way to finish this up now. My last problem was, how was I going to keep the back portion of the shelf in place so that if there was any weight put on the front, it didn't just lift the whole thing up and dump it on the floor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some notches in here so that they fit around the support bracket, and then I'm going to glue a securing block right there so that in fact once it slips on there, it's not going to go down and it can't go up. And then we'll bury that little knob right there into the wood, and it won't come forward unless we lift up on it. So okay, this is it. There's my shelf, where shelves don't exist in pop-up campers. And there was some difficulty in designing this because it had to be removable and it had to deal with some unusual characteristics of shape. So you can see that the supports go into these brackets that are screwed into the top. The shelf is being held in place by that little bit of a trough dug out of there so that that little tooth grabs a hold of it. And so you can't pull it this way and you can't push it that way. Two knobs, and those are for collapsing this out of the way. Another bracket to hold it firmly in place on the bottom, screwed in. What's made this a little bit more difficult is all pop-ups have this metal rail because the beds push into the center portion. So what I had to do here was work with what I had. And there's a little thumb screw here so that's nicely holding the rail. And the top is just like the other support. Okay, I'm going to dismantle it and then I'm going to put it back up again for you to see. The only thing holding this in place is just gravity, pretty much. Lift the front up, pull it off, and then this will all ride underneath when the bed comes into the center portion. Loosen up the two knobs, drop it down, pull it up, get it out of the way. Loosen the thumb screw down below. And that's as much effort as you have to put into taking it apart. Putting it back up. I've got a mark down here. Tighten those down. That's in place. Tighten those down. That's firmly in place. And that's all there is to it. That is mighty handy space in a little pop-up camper like this. So I hope you enjoyed it. Come on back, I got some more things. If you did like it, please indicate so, subscribe, and maybe even share it. Come on back.